The instant the elevator doors began to slide shut, I saw everything I wasn't supposed to see. On the 18th floor, inside my husband's office, he had the young secretary pinned against the desk. I calmly pressed the button for the lobby. Every second the elevator dropped, my heart sank a little further, yet my expression grew more serene. 5 years of marriage turned out to be nothing but a bad joke. No matter, the game had only just begun. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. I stood outside Vance Tech, takeout lunch in one hand, watching the floor numbers climb from 1 to 18. I'd meant to surprise him and double-check the time for tonight's client dinner. Surprise morphed into shock. When the elevator returned to 18, I drew a slow breath, arranged my face, and tapped on the CEO suite door. "Come in," Chase answered, voice unsteady. I stepped inside. He was straightening his tie. Riley was gathering papers off the desk, cheeks flushed. "Honey, I brought lunch." I smiled, set the bento on the coffee table. Chase exhaled in relief. "Vivian, what are you doing here?" I was nearby and remembered you always skip a proper lunch. My tone sounded as gentle as ever. Riley darted toward the door, head low. "Chase, I'll go sort these files." I eyed her crooked blouse and tousled hair and sneered inwardly. Decent acting. Too bad her audience was me. "Riley, you've worked hard." I nodded warmly, as if nothing were amiss. Riley's face reddened. She practically fled. Chase slipped an arm around my waist. "Since when do you play devoted wife? You hate delivering meals. Can't I pamper my husband occasionally?" I nestled against him, inhaling another woman's perfume, not the brand I wear. He kissed my forehead. "Sure you want to sit through tonight? King and the rest are all numbers guys? Dull once the cocktails start flowing." "I wouldn't miss it. I'd love to meet your partners," I said, tilting my head. "Besides, I haven't watched you work a room in ages." His gaze flickered. 7 sharp. Gold stream. Then, we chatted a minute more, and I left. Outside, I thumbed a text to my best friend. "Free. Need to see you." Stella replied instantly. "Talk to me. You sound off." "Coffee shop." Now, 20 minutes later, across from Stella, I recounted the scene. She slammed her cup down. "That bastard." "Vivian, what now?" I swirled my latte. "Divorce is too generous." "Meaning, I'll make them pay." I looked up, eyes dry, resolve glacial. "Stella, can you help?" "Name it." "Dig up everything on Riley, plus Chase's schedule and finances." "Done. My buddy runs a PI firm." She squeezed my hand. "You sure about this? 5 years won't fade for nothing. If he wants a game, we'll raise the stakes." At home I camped on the sofa and opened Chase's Instagram. Sure enough, Riley popped up in half his latest posts. Off-site retreats, all-nighters, business trips. She shadowed him in every frame. I screenshotted the lot, then opened his iMessage. My birthday still unlocked the screen, either arrogance or laziness. Too bad he'd underestimated me. Scrolling, I found a chat labeled of Riley and almost laughed out loud. "Almost got busted today. We have to be careful," she'd written. "She's clueless." "Don't worry," he'd answered. "But I'm still scared." "Of what?" "She's a housewife. The world outside confuses her." Housewife. I'd shelved my career to keep his life frictionless, and that's the label I earned. Further down, the real gems waited. "Chase, when can we go public?" "Soon. Let me settle the marriage first." "What if she refuses the divorce?" "Relax. I'll split the assets with her. She'll sign happily." Assets split. My half handed over like charity. More messages spilled out. They'd already rented a love nest in Boston, played house while I cooked his dinners. Worst of all, they strategized daily on how to trick me into signing. I archived every photo and text, erased my digital footprints, and shut the phone. At 6:30, I started my makeup. Tonight's banquet would brand itself on their memories. I chose a black body-hugging sheath, killer heels, a flawless face. The mirror reflected elegance and poise, no sign of the tempest inside. Chase walked in, did a double take. "Vivian, you're stunning tonight." "Thank you." I smiled, looping my arm through his. "Shall we?" King hates tardiness. On the ride over he volunteered. "Riley may drop by. She's lead on the project." "Wonderful. I haven't formally met her," I replied, voice bright. He glanced sideways, reassured by my calm. He relaxed. Goldstream's private dining room already held several execs. Handshakes and small talk flowed. I sparkled on cue. The perfect spouse. 8 o'clock brought Riley. Apologies for traffic dripping off her tongue. Beige power suit. Chignon. Corporate polish, yet her gaze flicked repeatedly toward Chase. After the second course I excused myself. Riley left seconds later. Only the two of us stood at the mirror. I reapplied lipstick. Casual. "Riley, how long have you worked with Chase?" Her hand quivered. Almost a year. He demands excellence, doesn't he?" "Why yes." I turned, smiling. "Young people should learn all they can, but know your limits." "Agreed." Color drained from her face. You're right. I capped my lipstick, patted her shoulder. Let's rejoin the gentlemen. The banquet ended. We headed home. Chase hummed in the passenger seat. Pleased. You were amazing tonight, he said, squeezing my fingers. King called you graceful. Kind of him. I stared at the road, mind racing. Acting. Child's play. Back home he disappeared into the shower. I perched on the bed, phone in hand. Plotting move 2. Stella texted. Got intel on Riley. Coffee tomorrow. Morning found us at our usual corner table. 24. Fresh grad. Joined Vance Tech last year. Stella began, sliding a folder over. Modest family, mom and dad factory line. She's hungry for security. Figures. Better still, Stella added. She kept a married sugar daddy all through college. Girls got a type. I closed the file and smiled, cold. Calculating. Ready? You've got evidence? I do. My friend dug deep. Stella handed me the folder. Bigger bombshell. Chase has started quietly moving assets. I stared, meaning, he transferred part of his Vance Tech shares to his brother and bought out-of-state properties in Florida. All cash. Stella's face was grave. Vivian, he's prepping for divorce. I clenched my fists, forcing calm. What else? The apartment they rent. The landlord is Riley's old college roommate. The whole lease was done under the table, no formal contract. I understood. No paper trail. Stella, I need a favor. I looked up, eyes glinting. Find me a lawyer. I want a draft. Draft of what? A settlement. My voice stayed level. If he wants to play, we'll play till the last card. That afternoon, on Stella's referral, I walked into Leo's conference room. Vivian, from what you've shown me, the advantage is yours. Leo tapped the stack of screenshots. Chat logs. Venmo transfers. Clear marital misconduct. I don't want a public brawl, I said. I want to win smart. You mean, make them walk themselves into the trap. I already had the timeline mapped out. Leo, draw up the paperwork for me. Night. Chase still wasn't home. I sat in the living room and launched step 1. I texted Riley. Riley, it's Vivian. Could we talk? Coffee tomorrow. She answered quickly. Vivian, what about work? Plus I'd love to understand my husband's partner better. A dozen minutes passed. Okay, 3 p.m. tomorrow. Starbucks across from Central Station. Chase finally showed at almost 10, reeking of liquor. Client dinner ran long? I asked, helping him off with his jacket. Yeah. King, they poured. His gaze slid away. The faint perfume on his lapel matched what I'd smelled in his office yesterday. By the way, I said casually, I'm meeting Riley tomorrow, just to learn more about your projects. His hand froze on his tie. You don't need to. Why? Don't you want me to know your team? I tilted my head. Or is there something I shouldn't? No. He backpedaled. She's just staff. Then it's settled. I started upstairs. Get some sleep. You're swimming in whiskey. Watching the panic bloom on his face, I smiled inside. Tomorrow the curtain would rise. At 3 sharp I stepped into Starbucks. Riley was already there, twitching like a cornered rabbit. Vivian, what can I've ordered. I sat and slid my phone across the table. Let's drop the masks. Her cheeks bleached when she saw the screenshots of her midnight texts to Chase. Vivian, I can explain, not necessary. I kept my voice soft. Question is, what are you going to do? Tears dropped onto the tabletop. Tears don't solve problems. I handed her a napkin. You're 24. Prime of your life. Why waste it on a married man? I didn't mean to. I really love him. Love? I gave a thin laugh. Him, or his Amex and corner office? She had no answer. Here's the exit ramp. I continued. Leave him. Leave Eastbrook. Ma, I'll wire you enough to restart somewhere else. Vivian, 3 days. I stood. Decide. I didn't go home. I went to Vance Tech. The receptionist waved me upstairs. I knocked. Come in. Chase was on the phone. He ended it fast when he saw me. Vivian, what brings you? Just left Riley. Thought I'd say hi. I settled on the sofa. She seemed upset. Project stress? Probably. Deadlines. His voice cracked like old wax. I nodded. Maybe you should show more support. Team morale matters. He exhaled, shoulders sinking. Oh, Riley mentioned she might quit. Head out of town. He jerked forward. She's quitting? Surprised? I blinked innocently. Young people chase new horizons. I think it's brave. Why? Yeah, brave, he echoed, face twitching. At dinner he checked his phone every minute, stabbing unseasoned salmon. 10 o'clock. He slipped to the balcony for air. I hovered inside the French door. Riley, what's this about you leaving? He hissed. She knows. Chase. She practically spelled it out. Riley's tinny voice shook. I'm scared. She's bluffing. Stay calm. But I'm still scared. Of what? She's a housewife. She can't touch us. I tiptoed back to the couch. Step 1, mission accomplished. They were eating each other alive. Time for step 2. Dawn. Chase raced out at 7. Textbook crisis meeting with the mistress. I called Stella. Put a tail on the love nest. I want photos. By noon my phone pinged. Chase and Riley entering the apartment at 11. Hands clasped. Eyes fused. Both should have been at work. Evidence secured. Time for step 2.5. I messaged Chase. Honey, I'll swing by the office this afternoon so we can leave together for dinner date night. Chase texted back almost immediately. Not a great night. Looks like I'll have to pull an all-nighter. An all-nighter? With who? I typed. Needles under every word. Project team crew. Riley included. I snorted. Still lying. Then I won't swing by. Stay busy. I replied. At 4 sharp I stepped out of the elevator in the Vance Tech lobby. His parking slot was empty. I dialed reception. Hi, Vivian here. Could you tell me whether Chase is in today? Ms. Vance. Mr. Carter took the afternoon off. Said something urgent came up. The receptionist answered. Polite as silk. Thanks. I hung up, the puzzle pieces locking into place. 6 o'clock. I walked through my own front door and started dinner like any loyal wife. 7:30. Chase dragged himself in. Weariness wrapped around him like a coat. Rough all-nighter, I said, greeting him with a solicitous smile. How's the project shaping up? Decent. He avoided my eyes. We hashed things out for hours. Riley there too? I asked casually. Why? Yeah. His answer stuttered over itself. I nodded. Good. Nice to see the younger staff hustle. Oh, I dropped by the office to surprise you, but reception said you'd taken personal time? Chase's face went white. You came to Vance Tech? Yep. Wanted to hand you these forms. I lifted a manila envelope. Since you were gone, no biggie, we'll do it tomorrow. What forms? Chase's voice was tight. Insurance papers, just a signature. I invented on the spot. We'll tackle it later. He exhaled, shoulders sagging, guilt still flickering behind his eyes. We were halfway through dinner when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, is this Vivian Vance? Maxton. Klein, you asked us to look into a few things. We've got updates. I kept my volume perfectly normal, loud enough for Chase to hear every syllable. Convenient to meet tomorrow, 10 a.m. Our attorney's available. Works for me. See you then. The moment I set the phone down, Chase pounced. Which lawyer? What's wrong? Nothing major. I buttered a roll. Just some property split questions. A friend's divorcing and wants advice. Chase's complexion turned an ugly gray, but he didn't dare push further. That night I felt his gaze crawling over me in the dark, hunting for clues I'd never give. Too bad my acting skills were miles ahead of his. Next morning I did go to the firm, only the files on the table were mine. Vivian, with the evidence you've supplied we can secure the maximum share, Leo said. But are you certain you want to pull the trigger? I'll fire a warning first, I answered. If they keep playing stupid games, they'll learn I'm the Grand Master. What's the move? I slid across the folder I'd compiled overnight. Photos, bank transfers, apartment leases. Let them discover I'm nobody's fool. By afternoon I made the promised call to Riley. Riley, have you considered my offer? Silence throbbed for 3 heartbeats. Vivian, I can't let him go. Really? Ice-coated my voice. Ready for the fallout? What fallout? She whispered. Legal fallout. Alienation of affection. Proof of cohabitation. How sympathetic do you think a judge will be? Tears crackled through the line. Please. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I gave you an exit ramp, I said, unmoved. You chose the cliff instead. I killed the call, certain the sniveling would travel straight to Chase. Half an hour later, he burst through the door. Vivian, we need to talk, he declared, face carved in stone. I closed my novel and gave him a calm smile. Topic? Riley and me, he muttered at last, finally, watching the dread pool in his eyes. I laughed silently behind a composed mask. Oh, you two have something worth discussing? I set the book aside, tone light as Sunday brunch. He dropped onto the couch opposite me, knuckles white. I think you already sense where this is going. Which is? I tilted my head. Innocent. Riley and I, the words snagged. I let the silence sting, then finished for him. An affair? His mouth hung open. He hadn't expected the direct hit. I've known for months, I said, walking to the window. The late nights. The perfume that isn't mine. The phone you guard like state secrets. I notice everything. Vivian, do you know what infuriates me most? I spun back. Not the cheating. It's that you thought I was too dumb to catch on. He gulped air, but produced no sound. Riley phoned yesterday. Sobbing her confession, I lied smoothly. 6 months. A love nest. Even dream talk about wedding bells once I stepped aside. She sold me out? His cheeks flushed crimson. Funny. Huh. Turns out 24-year-olds crack under pressure. I can explain. Spare me. I returned to my seat. I only care about the exit plan. He stared at the rug a long minute, then lifted his head. Let's just end it. Divorce. The word landed like the final chess piece. Relief swept through me. Fine. My brisk agreement startled him. But I have terms. I pulled the prepared folder from the drawer. 1. All Vanstech shares revert to me. 2. We liquidate the Florida properties, money to you, houses to me. 3. Every dollar you funneled offshore in the last 6 months comes back. His eyes bulged as he flipped pages. You're asking for everything, leaving me broke. Asking. I'm taking what's mine. Dad bankrolled Vanstech. I wrote half the code and every crisis plan. My maternity leave wasn't a license to rob me blind. Another folder slapped the table. Bank records, shell deeds, crypto ledgers. I have the full inventory. Chase. Even the condos you bought under your cousin's name. Color drained from his face. How long? Since the first late client dinner smelled like cheap perfume. He rubbed his temples. If I refuse, then we meet in court. And you'll walk out with less than bus fare. Knowing I never bluffed. He swallowed hard. I need time. 3 days, I said. Meanwhile, pack a suitcase. You can bunk with your loyal secretary. She keeps whining she needs security. Fury flared in his eyes. But he had no ammunition left. That evening he hauled 2 bags downstairs and paused at the threshold like a tragic hero exiting stage left. I watched the door swing shut and felt nothing except the hush of a storm finally passing. 5 years of marriage, gone with the click of a latch. Next morning Stella breezed in, espresso in hand. Viv, are you absolutely sure? Concern shadowed her face. Crystal, I poured our coffee. I've never been this lucid. Next act? She curled onto the stool. Wait. If they sign, we wrap with dignity. If not, Leo unleashes the dogs. I raised my cup to fresh scripts and stronger heroines. Stella nodded. And Riley? She's already decided to resign. I pulled out my phone. This morning she texted me. She's willing to leave the city. She's really going? Of course. She's a lot smarter than Chase. I gave a cold laugh. She knows when to fold. In fact, Riley had messaged me saying she'd accept my terms and get out of Eastbrook. My warning had clearly worked. Still, it wasn't enough. I needed Chase to understand the price of betrayal. 3 days later, he asked to meet at a coffee shop. He looked haggard, unshaven, eyes bloodshot. Have you thought it over? I sat and cut to the chase. Chase stayed silent a moment, then said, I agree to your conditions. I nodded and produced the prepared divorce settlement. Sign. He took the document and read every clause, his face darkening the further he went. Vivian, do you have to be this ruthless? He looked up. We were husband and wife. Were, I corrected, ex-husband and ex-wife. You betrayed the marriage. Not me. I know I was wrong, but, no buts. I cut him off. Sign. Or we meet in court. Your choice. Realizing there was no wiggle room, he finally signed. About Riley, he began. She's resigned. Her flight out is this afternoon. I delivered the fact. Your story ends here. Chase's eyes widened. What? She's leaving? Missing her already? I sneered. You thought a 24-year-old would give up everything for you. She's far more pragmatic than you imagined. Watching his shock gave me a surge of satisfaction. Oh, one more thing. I lifted my phone. Riley called last night and shared some interesting details. What? What things? His voice trembled. Like how your first time was in the company lounge. How you promised her a condo, a car. I listed them off. And how you told her I was a clueless housewife who'd swallow any lie. Chase went paper white. Funniest of all, I went on. She said she never loved you. She just thought you could give her the life she wanted. Turns out you couldn't. So she traded up. Impossible. She'd never say that. He muttered. Call her if you don't believe me. I stood. Though by now she's probably in the air. As I left the cafe, I glanced back. Chase sat like a hollowed-out shell. 5 years of marriage, reduced to this. That afternoon I went to Eastbrook City Hall for the divorce filing. It took under an hour. Holding the final decree certificate, I felt no sorrow, only freedom. Stella took me to dinner that night to celebrate. Vivian, how do you feel? She asked. Concerned. Great. I raised my glass. Never better. So what's next? Back to work. Back to life. I smiled. I'm still young. I can start over. Stella nodded. And the company, you're really stepping in? Absolutely. My tone was firm. It's mine by right. Besides, I want everyone to know Vivian Vance isn't the woman who waited at home for her husband. Next morning I walked into Vanstech. Employees stared. I hadn't shown my face in ages. Effective immediately. I'm resuming leadership, I announced at the all-hands meeting. There will be personnel changes. I expect full cooperation. The first position I restructured was Riley's old post. I promoted a more capable woman to fill it. Afterward, a few veteran staff cornered me, asking about Chase. Chase has left the company. I said simply, I'm in charge from now on. No one questioned further. My father was the majority investor, and the decision power had always been mine. A week later, I received a message from Riley, sent from Chicago. Vivian, thank you for the chance to start over. I've found a new job and will live well, I replied with a single good, and deleted her contact. As for Chase, rumor had it he'd landed a job elsewhere at a much lower salary. Whenever we crossed paths on the street, he averted his eyes and hurried away. He clearly hadn't recovered from losing everything, but that was no longer my concern. Chapter 8. The first month after the divorce, I threw myself into managing Vance Tech. I reviewed every project Chase had handled and uncovered plenty of problems. Vivian, these contract clauses are full of holes, Finance Director David told me. If we don't fix them, the company could take serious losses. I pored over the agreements and saw that in his rush to close deals, Chase had conceded too much. Sowing landmines for the future. Contact legal immediately and renegotiate, I ordered. Terminate whatever we must. Amend the rest. But Vivian, we might offend some clients. Then we offend them. I was resolute. Business is built on integrity and principle. We don't mortgage our future for short-term gains. After a month of restructuring, operations improved noticeably. We cleaned house and even signed several new, high-quality projects. Staff who once doubted me now viewed my decisions with respect. One afternoon, while I was reviewing documents, my assistant knocked. Ms. Vance, someone downstairs is asking for you. Who? I didn't look up. It's Chase, she said nervously. I set down my pen. Send him up. A few minutes later, Chase appeared in the doorway, looking even worse than before, gaunt, gray threading his hair. Have a seat. I motioned to the sofa. He stepped in, glancing around the office that used to be his, but was now mine. What can I do for you? I closed the folder. Vivian, I'm here to ask a favor. His voice was barely a whisper. My new job is shaky. The pay is pitiful. I want to come back to Vance Tech. I studied him without answering. When I stayed silent, he pressed on. I'll start at the bottom. No special treatment. I know the business inside out. I can help. Chase, I said at last. Do you honestly think that's appropriate? I know it's a lot to ask, but I'm out of options. His tone was pleading. Vivian, for the sake of the 5 years we shared. 5 years? I gave a cold chuckle. You were the one who forgot what those 5 years meant. Chase had no reply. I walked to the window. Do you know why Riley left? Why? Because she's smarter than you. She knows when to cut losses. I turned. You, on the other hand, are still daydreaming. Vivian, you thought I'd pity your fall. My voice stayed level. Each word a blade. Thought I'd open the door out of my old feelings? Chase's face drained of color. Listen carefully. I returned to my desk. From the instant you chose betrayal, we became strangers. Your hardships, your setbacks, they're yours alone. But, no buts. I cut him off. When you and Riley laughed about the clueless housewife you planned to dupe, did you picture this day? He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Now you understand consequences. I pressed the intercom. Lily, see the gentleman out. Vivian. Chase tried again. Chase, this is the last time I speak your name. I met his eyes. From now on, we're strangers. After security walked Chase out, I sat back down and returned to the papers. But my pulse refused to settle. Not because I'd gone soft, because the weight of it all kept sinking in. 5 years of marriage, ending like this. It was the kind of thing that made you shake your head at the narrowness of fate. Still, it only hardened my conviction that I'd chosen right. Some people don't deserve forgiveness. Some mistakes should never be granted absolution. 2 months later, the quarterly numbers flashed on the conference room screen. Profit up 30% year over year. President Vance, the reforms you rolled out are paying off, said our VP. Johnson, morale's the highest we've logged in 5 years. I gave him a measured nod. Team effort, but we don't coast, we climb. When the meeting broke, I stepped into my office and found a bouquet on the blotter. A tiny envelope propped against the vase. I slid the card free. It was from a cluster of junior staffers. Thank you, President Vance, for reminding us what leadership looks like. You're our roadmap. The words settled in my chest like sunlight after rain. Every late night, every retooled process, none of it had been wasted. I'd proved I could steer the ship, and in doing so I'd earned the crew's respect. That evening, driving home, I passed the bistro we used to treat as our living room kitchen. Through the plate glass front, I spotted a silhouette I still knew by heartbeat. Chase sat alone at a corner two-top, pushing sea bass across a white plate. Across from him, an empty setting. Someone had just been there. I braked at the curb and watched. He looked a decade older, hair almost silver, shoulders curled inward, fork moving in slow motion, gaze drifting to the middle distance. Then a girl, barely 20, contour sharp enough to slice bread, slipped back from the restroom and reclaimed her seat. She talked with her hands, eyes bright with calculation. He answered in monosyllables, half smiling as if listening to a song only he could hear. I studied them for 60 silent seconds and got the picture. Chase had found a new mark. This one was a step colder than Riley, every blink said. What's in it for me? And Chase, true to form, was was still writing his own fairy tale ending. I shook my head, eased off the brake, and rolled on. Certain people never learn the shape of the hole, they keep digging. The next morning my father rang. Vivian, the numbers reached me, he said, pride threading his voice. You're outperforming every projection I made. Your faith was the launch pad. I replied, we're just getting started. Speaking of runways, he continued, an old associate of mine wants to pour capital into advanced tech. Are you open to a conversation? What sector? AI-driven logistics. If we partner, we leapfrog 3-year R&D overnight. I considered, set an intro dinner. I'll listen. Saturday at the Yale Club. I'll lock it in. When the line clicked off, I felt the future widen like a sunrise. Company on an upswing. Calendar mine to command. The only gap was the quiet space where romance used to sit. Good. No one else got to hold the pen right now. Freedom tasted like black coffee. Bitter, bright, addictive. That afternoon Stella blew through reception like a confetti storm. Vivian, scoop. She parked herself on my desk. Remember Leo, the litigator who kept asking about you at the gala? The one who bills in 6-minute slices. Sure. He's circling back. Wants to take you to dinner, non-billable hours. She winked. I told him I'd run recon. I swiveled away to hide a smile. Tell him I'm flattered, and currently booked solid. You can't file your social life under pending forever, she protested. I'm not hiding, I'm prioritizing. When the timing stops feeling like a compromise, we'll talk. She surrendered. Palms up. Just don't make me wait until we're both wearing support hose. Truth. I wasn't swearing off men. I was swearing off the wrong man. Next time I signed the page, the fine print would be loyalty. 3 months later the ink was dry on Dad's friend's term sheet. Fresh capital surged through Vansiteka's arteries. And our R&D floor glowed like Times Square on New Year's. At the victory dinner I lifted a flute of crystal. To every engineer who pulled an all-nighter, every intern who double-checked comma placement, you wrote this chapter. Thank you. Applause ricocheted off the glass walls. After the confetti settled I retreated to my office. Skyline glittering like scattered diamond powder. 6 months ago I'd been a housewife timing roast chicken. Now I commanded a tech flagship. Life loved its plot twists. My phone buzzed. Unknown local number. Vivian. Vivian, it's Chase. The name felt archaeological. Speak. Flat. Courtroom calm. I heard about the new round. Congratulations. His voice wavered. I need to say I'm sorry. Silence on my end. Let the record reflect. I've had months to replay every frame. He pushed on. I see now what I vaporized. Chase. Remorse ages poorly when it arrives after the balance sheet zeroes out. A soft choke traveled the line. I miss you. No, I corrected. You missed the version of me that compensated for your blind spots. He tried my name again. It withered in his mouth. Every choice invoices its maker. I finished. We're paid in full. Don't call again. I tapped END and exhaled the last molecule of doubt. The next morning I blacklisted the number. 1 week later Stella bounced in. Latte in each hand. Vivian. Karma alert. Chase's 20-year-old fiancé emptied his accounts and ghosted in his Tesla. He's couch surfing in New Jersey. I lifted an eyebrow. Fraud report? Police won't even take the paperwork. He signed the title over 4 to love. She snorted. Sympathy level, sub-zero. I rotated back to my monitor. Lesson plans cost what they cost. Night folded over the city. In my apartment, spreadsheets glowed across the coffee table, blue bars of ascending profit, green curves of hiring forecasts. No voices. No lingering cologne, just the hush of ownership. For the first time, solitude felt like equity instead of absence. Thank you for listening. If the story resonated, tap like and share it forward. Tell us your own turning points in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter.